Okay, so I started this whole project, this cash college thing, only a short while ago, and so far it's really exceeded my expectations. I've had some pretty good success with it fairly quickly. I've even gotten the attention of some larger channels both inside and outside of my own niche. So I wanted to talk about my experience in hopes that it can benefit you in some way. Now, I know you clicked on this video, you know what you came here to see, so instead of me doing some big grand reveal at the end of the video, I'm just gonna give you what you came here for right up front. This is exactly how much I made in my first full month in YouTube ad revenue. Boom. There you go. But that number alone just isn't enough, isn't it? You're probably gonna want some context around that. I know I certainly would. How many views are we talking? What is your CPM like? Is finance really a high-paying niche? I assume you're watching this video because you're curious about starting your own YouTube channel, or maybe you've actually already started and you're just looking to learn more. Or maybe you're also curious about being your own boss and building something online. Whatever the reason, I'm going to be getting very personal today about me and this project that I'm trying to create, and to be quite frank with you, I'm kind of hesitant to be vulnerable like this. It's a bit of a threshold for me to break, to be honest, but I realize that at the end of the day, if I'm able to share something that's going to benefit somebody else, then that's worth so much more than my own insecurities. And so I wanted to provide my own philosophy on starting a YouTube channel, what's worked for me, and how I plan to ultimately accomplish my dream on here. Now, one of the phrases that I've been repeating a lot to people is that making a YouTube channel is both extremely difficult but extremely easy at the same time. And by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what I mean by that. So obviously the amount of money I made isn't massive, but it's also not small. I know that many YouTubers would be absolutely ecstatic to make that amount of money in their first month, but there's also a few, more YouTubers who are making way more money than that. This basically boils down to two things: views and CPM. And later in this video, I'll break those down further for those of you who are curious. But hold on here, cut the music for a sec. What I really want to highlight is that your first month's revenue on YouTube doesn't really matter. Now, I know a lot of people get into YouTube without really having a financial plan or knowing how all the money aspects of this business is going to work out for you. And I think this is where I provide a unique perspective on the topic because I'm a finance guy. So let me explain what I mean when I say that this month's paycheck doesn't really matter. To be quite frank, I'd even go as far as to say that even the first 6 months of your revenue probably aren't going to really matter. But the next year, 2 years, 3 years, and so on and so forth are going to be where you reap all the reward. Here's why. I'm thinking long term here. I'm thinking about running this like a business because that's what a YouTube channel is. It's a business. And to be successful in business, or at least to be as successful as possible, there's a few very important things to keep in mind. You may have heard people talk about YouTube as a passive income source, and it certainly is. It can be correct to say that. I mean, even I'm earning passive income off of old videos that I've created. But I'm not sure if this is really the right way to think about it, at least not in the beginning. The way I think about it is that YouTube is extremely active in the beginning, and that's because I've put in so many hours of work in this thing, it is absolutely crazy. But the financial return on my time at this point is so low. I mean, I am making way below minimum wage in terms of the hours I'm putting into this thing at this point. So from a monetary standpoint, it is just so not worth it right now. But it doesn't matter. Think about any business that's starting up. Most businesses don't make any money in their first few years in terms of profits, and a lot of them will actually be losing money. But making profits early on isn't the goal. The goal is to build something that can then make those profits sustainably later on. Look at someone like Graham Stephan, who's getting bags left, right, and center these days, grossing something like over $200,000 a month just off of his ad revenue. He didn't start out making that, not even close. He himself has even said that he was making way less than minimum wage when he started out, but he knew that it could pay off massively in the future if he just kept plugging away. And now if he puts in, let's say, something like 50 hours of work per week, he's getting paid $1,000 per hour. That's what I'd say you should be concerned about, and that's what I'm concerned about. The future reward for all the unpaid and unnoticed work that you're willing to put in right now. And the more of this unpaid work you do right now, the more reward you're going to be able to reap later. I'm building a business. I'm not playing the lottery. In a traditional sense, businesses are created to solve problems. But think about the word problem in a very broad sense. For example, I'm kind of hungry right now, and to be honest, I could go for a pizza, but not just any pizza. I'm talking like a nice wood-fired oven pizza with a proper dough. You know, I am a baker. I do make a pretty mean sourdough, so the dough is very important to me on the pizza. And maybe, you know, some simple toppings like prosciutto and arugula. That would be perfect right now. So that's my problem, and it might be yours now too if I just made you hungry. So a nice pizzeria could open up and solve my problem. And assuming there's enough people with the same problem, that pizzeria now has a business. So why do we think about YouTube any differently? I try and ask myself questions like, what value am I bringing to the consumer? And also, what problem am I solving? For me, the value that I try and bring is that I have pretty extensive knowledge about finance from both experiential and academic sources. I believe that I personally have a unique angle on personal finance that hasn't been seen before, and I'm really excited to share more of my story and the path that I'm walking because I think that it will resonate with a lot of people. And the problem that I'm trying to solve is a lack of proper financial education in our schooling systems. I mean, we go through elementary school, high school, and even post-secondary school, and usually nowhere along there do you receive the education that you need to go into the real world and have good financial habits. And this makes us not aware of our true potential to be financially free and independent. So I would challenge you to think about those two questions. What value can you bring, and what problem are you trying to solve? I'm trying to provide as much value as I possibly can to make the biggest positive impact I can. And money's naturally just going to follow that. A common marker of somebody's success is something called an unfair advantage. Now, for the pessimistic viewers out there who are thinking, well, this doesn't apply to me because I don't have any unfair advantage, just get that thought out of your head right now. Oftentimes, people won't understand or see what their unfair advantage was until much later in life when they look back at their own unique experiences that created that opportunity that was set up uniquely for that person. Your unfair advantage will be uniquely yours and no one else's. In my case, I happened to pick up a camera when I was in third year university. I started off with photography and I really enjoyed it. And from there, I kind of rekindled an old love that I had for videography, because when I was really young, my mom used to babysit me and my cousins after school, and sometimes I would kind of direct them all and shoot a little movie with them on like a VHS recorder tape. I remember one time we shot like a horror movie with my brother and one of my friends, and we had my brother put, I think it was like ketchup on him for some fake blood. It was a big mess, but it was so much fun, and picking up that camera again just really rekindled that love I had for creating things in that visual format. At the same time, while I was in school, I was studying accounting and finance, and I was also trading stocks on the side and learning about investing in that capacity. And I also stumbled upon a really interesting community of people called the FIRE community, who are all trying to achieve financial independence as early as possible in life. I mean, some of these guys had even retired as early as in their 30s. And so pretty much from that day forward, I started walking that path too, and financial independence is a goal in my future as well. So fast forward to today, and I've combined those two skills, filmmaking and finance, which at the time seemed like they had absolutely nothing to do together, but now I've combined them in a way that I would have never seen coming. I never thought that I was gonna make a YouTube channel, but one thing just kind of led to another, and here we are. So think about that non-obvious connection that you can make between unique experiences that you've had in your own life, so that you can provide your own unique voice in whatever space you want to. Okay, so that's enough of my philosophical ramblings. I know there's some of you watching this video who want to hear a little bit more about views and CPM and how that can basically combine to create your YouTube ad revenue. Views are the hardest thing to control about the YouTube business. You can pick a great topic, you can make a great video, great thumbnail, whatever, title, all good, all great. But as soon as you hit publish on that video, it's like releasing an astronaut into the void of space. You no longer really have control over that video. You're at the mercy of the YouTube algorithm. That's what makes YouTube AdSense alone a really unreliable source of income. And this highlights the importance of cultivating multiple streams of income. That's something that I'm not going to get into detail in this video because I don't think there's time to fit it in, but I will share with you something that someone who really knows what they're talking about said to me. And they basically said that YouTube AdSense revenue is basically like a bonus. It's great to earn it, it's great to have, but you don't want to be making your own detailed financial plans based off of it because it's so unreliable. You need to have other streams of revenue that can generate enough money to make you happy regardless of that AdSense. Now CPM, on the other hand, you do have a little bit more control over, and that's because the CPM rates will be dictated by the subject matter of your videos. So for me, in my own niche, which is personal finance, CPMs are pretty good, they're pretty high, and that's because banks have a lot of money to throw at ads. But don't confuse this with me saying you have full control over your CPMs. You don't. They definitely fluctuate up and down as well. I think it's a great idea to study similar channels in your niche who are successful to get an idea of how they earn their income. In my finance niche, I noticed that a lot of people are relying heavily on their AdSense revenue, but that's because it just makes up the vast majority of their income because the CPMs are just so high. So you kind of have to adjust your strategy based on these factors that can affect your income. But at the end of the day, the truth is that the other streams of revenue that you create, whether that's digital products, affiliate programs, speaking engagements, merch, whatever it is, you have more control over those revenue streams. As long as you're solving a problem like I talked about earlier and providing value, you can get really creative and come up with some really cool ways to make someone in your audience's life better. And I think that's the perfect note I want to end this video on. While the subject of this video has definitely been about money, money isn't the thing that you should be fixated on. Money naturally flows in proportion to the impact or value that something else has. And I know for myself that I definitely get fixated on money sometimes, and when it happens to me, I lose that creative edge. And you can even lose sight of that overall mission that made what you're trying to do special. So instead, I'm trying to do my best to focus on making as big of a positive impact as I possibly can. If you enjoyed this video, please give her the old thumbs up and subscribe if you're not already. I'd really like to start sharing more about my own story soon, and if something like financial independence or freedom is something that interests you, then I'd love to have you learning and following along with me so that we can reach those goals together. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you again soon.